When we talk about what makes someone truly unforgettable in bed, the first thing that often comes to mind is appearance. People assume it's about having the perfect body, flawless skin, or some kind of movie star charm. But the truth is, none of that guarantees that someone will leave a lasting impression. What actually does is confidence. Confidence has a way of changing the entire energy of an experience, and it's not about arrogance or being overly bold, but about carrying yourself in a way that says, I'm comfortable in my own skin. A woman who shows up with this kind of energy instantly creates a different atmosphere, one that makes intimacy feel alive, exciting, and deeply magnetic. Confidence is powerful because it removes insecurity from the room. When someone is worried about how they look, if they're doing things right, or if they're being judged, all of that self-consciousness becomes a barrier to genuine connection. The mind is too busy, too distracted, and that tension spills into the experience. But when a woman allows herself to be free from those voices in her head, when she decides that she doesn't need to be perfect, suddenly she's present. She can laugh if something goes wrong, she can enjoy the moment without overthinking, and she can bring a sense of ease that is incredibly attractive. That's the secret. Confidence isn't about being flawless, it's about being real and unafraid to be seen exactly as you are. Think about it. When a man is with a woman who carries herself with quiet self-assurance, she doesn't need validation at every step. She doesn't need to ask if she's doing enough because she knows she is enough. That certainty doesn't just make her unforgettable, it makes the experience unforgettable. Confidence is contagious. When she relaxes, he relaxes. When she radiates belief in her own worth, he naturally feels more drawn in, more at ease, and more open to exploring the moment fully. It's not about being the loudest or most daring person in the room. It's about holding a space of authenticity that says, I belong here, and I don't need to prove anything. Another beautiful thing about confidence is that it makes room for vulnerability. At first, that might sound contradictory. How can confidence and vulnerability go hand in hand? But the truth is, only someone who feels secure in themselves can afford to let their guard down. A confident woman can kiss passionately without worrying if her hair is in place. She can express pleasure without fearing judgment. And she can show genuine desire without the voice of shame getting in the way. That kind of vulnerability creates intensity because it's raw, it's real, and it's impossible to forget. Confidence also fuels curiosity. When you're not scared of doing something wrong, you're more open to exploring, to trying new things, to asking for what you want, and inviting the other person to do the same. A woman who carries herself with that kind of energy transforms intimacy from something predictable into something alive. She makes the man feel like he's not just with her physically, but with her spirit, her personality, her essence. And long after the details fade, it's that essence that stays. It's worth remembering that confidence isn't something you suddenly turn on in the bedroom. It's a reflection of how you live. It comes from self-respect, from knowing your value, from not defining yourself by comparison to others. When a woman embraces her imperfections instead of hiding them, when she celebrates her unique qualities instead of apologizing for them, she becomes memorable, not because she checked every box of physical perfection, but because she carried herself with a light, magnetic assurance that makes everything more intense, more meaningful, and more alive. That's what lingers in someone's memory, the feeling of being with someone who knew she was enough and made the whole moment feel effortless. Playfulness and spontaneity are often underestimated when it comes to intimacy, yet they hold some of the deepest power in making a woman unforgettable. Too many people approach sex as if it's a performance, a checklist of moves and techniques, where the goal is to get everything right and make sure nothing looks awkward. But the truth is, unforgettable experiences are rarely perfect. They're alive, unpredictable, and full of moments that make you laugh, moments that surprise you, and moments that feel unique because they weren't scripted. That's where playfulness changes everything. When a woman brings light-heartedness into intimacy, she instantly shifts the energy from pressure to pleasure. Instead of both people feeling like they're carrying the weight of expectation, it becomes a space where laughter and connection thrive. Imagine the difference between someone who gets flustered when things don't go as planned and someone who can laugh, tease, or turn an awkward slip into something fun. The second woman is unforgettable, not because she did everything technically perfect, but because she made the experience enjoyable, human, and real. That kind of energy breaks down walls and makes intimacy something you actually look forward to rather than something you stress over. Spontaneity adds another layer to this. It's the quality that turns ordinary encounters into memories that stay. When everything is predictable, routine sets in, and routine kills desire. But when there's surprise, when there's unpredictability, when things happen that weren't expected, it creates a spark that keeps the connection alive. A playful touch when least expected, a sudden kiss in the middle of conversation, a daring suggestion whispered with a smile. These are the little things that light up someone's memory long after the night is over. The reason spontaneity matters so much is because it shows courage. It shows that she's not afraid to break the pattern, to step into the unknown, to embrace a moment rather than waiting for the perfect setup. And that bravery creates excitement. It reminds a man that intimacy isn't just about the physical, it's an adventure, and he never knows exactly what's coming next. That sense of unpredictability is intoxicating because it keeps him present, keeps him curious, and keeps him wanting more. Playfulness also deepens connection in subtle but powerful ways. When two people can laugh together in bed, when they can be silly without fear of being judged, it removes the masks. It creates safety, and safety ironically makes desire stronger because it allows both people to express themselves freely. Think about how many people hold back, worrying about how they sound, how they look, or whether their desires will be accepted. Playfulness shatters that tension. When a woman can tease, joke, or simply not take everything so seriously, she gives permission for him to do the same. That shared freedom is unforgettable. Another hidden power of playfulness is how it balances intensity. Intimacy can be incredibly passionate and raw, but without lightness, it can also feel heavy. Playfulness prevents that. It keeps things fresh, dynamic, and fun. A playful woman knows how to mix deep passion with bursts of light-hearted energy, and that rhythm is what makes experiences memorable. It's like music. It's not just one steady note. It's the variation, the highs and lows, the unexpected beats that create a song worth remembering. At the core, playfulness and spontaneity show that intimacy isn't something to be perfected. It's something to be enjoyed. A woman who embraces that becomes unforgettable not because she follows a script, but because she breaks it. She's the one who reminds a man that sex is not just about the act, but about joy, laughter, connection, and discovery. And long after the details fade, what he will always remember is how she made him feel, excited, alive, and free. What truly makes intimacy unforgettable is not just the physical act, but the emotional connection that underlies it. You can have all the technique in the world, but without presence, without that feeling of being truly seen and desired, it becomes mechanical. Emotional connection is what turns an encounter into a memory that lingers, because it touches something deeper than the body. It reaches the heart, and that is what makes it impossible to forget. When a woman shows up, not just with her body, but with her presence, it creates a kind of electricity that can't be faked. Presence means she's not distracted, not caught up in what's happening tomorrow, or whether she looks perfect, but she's right there, fully engaged, fully alive in the moment. The look in her eyes, the way she listens, the way she responds, all of these small details build intensity. Eye contact alone can be more powerful than any move because it carries intimacy in its rawest forms. I see you, and I want you. That gaze, that connection has the power to make someone feel chosen, and nothing is more unforgettable than that. Emotional connection is also built on vulnerability. Physical intimacy without vulnerability can feel like an exchange, but with vulnerability it feels like a gift. When a woman allows herself to open up, to express desire without holding back, to let her emotions be part of the experience, she transforms sex into something richer. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness, it means strength. It takes courage to show yourself fully, to reveal not just your body, but your soul, and that courage is magnetic. A man may forget the details of what happened, but he will never forget the way it felt when she allowed him into that deeper space. Another part of emotional connection is making the other person feel desired. Too often, people think being unforgettable is about what they receive, but it's really about what they give. A woman who knows how to communicate desire, who lets him feel that she wants him, values him, and enjoys him, creates a bond that goes far beyond the physical. Compliments, whispers, the softness of a touch. All of these show intention, and intention creates memory. The most unforgettable experiences are the ones where both people feel like they mattered, where both felt chosen and wanted. Emotional connection also means creating safety. In a world where so many people guard themselves, afraid of judgment or rejection, being with someone who makes you feel accepted is unforgettable. When a woman brings warmth, kindness, and acceptance into intimacy, it allows him to lower his defenses. He can stop pretending, stop performing, and just be himself. That level of safety is rare, and because it's rare, it sticks. It becomes a moment where he feels at home, not just excited, and that combination of comfort and passion is hard to let go of. The most powerful thing about emotional connection is that it transforms sex into a story. Without it, it's just a physical release. With it, it's a memory that plays over and over in the mind. The look she gave when she smiled, the laugh they shared when something unexpected happened, the intensity of holding each other afterward, all of these things come from emotional presence, not technique. They are what make the difference between an experience that fades and one that lives on. At the heart of it, unforgettable intimacy is not about performance, it's about connection. It's about slowing down enough to feel, to look, to listen, and to let the other person know without words that in this moment they are everything. A woman who brings that depth doesn't just touch the body, she touches the soul. And when that happens, it leaves an imprint that time cannot erase. One of the most overlooked qualities that makes a woman truly unforgettable in bed is her ability to be expressive and to communicate. Many people think passion is about doing more, being more adventurous, or mastering some secret move. But in reality, it often comes down to something much simpler, showing genuine reactions, expressing pleasure, and sharing what feels good. Communication doesn't have to be a heavy discussion. It's about energy, words, sounds, and subtle cues that guide and invite deeper connection. A woman who can do this doesn't just create a better experience in the moment. She leaves a mark that stays long after. Expressiveness is powerful because it eliminates the guessing game. Imagine being with someone who stays silent, who doesn't give away whether they're enjoying themselves, who makes you wonder if you're doing the right thing. That uncertainty kills passion because it replaces presence with doubt. Now picture the opposite, someone who responds, who moans, who whispers encouragement, who lets you know with her body and her words that she's feeling everything. That expressiveness doesn't just make the moment hotter. It builds confidence, it deepens connection, and it creates intensity that is unforgettable. But expressiveness is not only about reacting, it's also about initiating. A woman who can confidently say what she wants, whether it's asking to be touched a certain way, suggesting a change in pace, or even simply saying, "I love that," brings a kind of clarity that makes intimacy thrive. Men are not mind readers, and when there's openness, it relieves pressure and creates flow. Instead of overthinking, both people can relax into the experience, knowing they're on the same wavelength. That sense of partnership in intimacy makes the encounter feel not like a performance, but like a dance, where both are moving together, responding and adjusting with ease. There's also an emotional layer to communication that makes it unforgettable. When a woman uses her words to express not just what she wants physically, but how she feels, whether it's telling him how much she desires him or how good he makes her feel, it goes straight past the body and into the heart. Words have power, and in moments of intimacy, they can amplify desire like nothing else. A simple phrase said at the right time can stick in someone's mind for years because it made them feel special, desired, and chosen in a way that no technique ever could. Expressiveness also shows honesty. There's something magnetic about someone who reacts naturally rather than holding back. Faking enjoyment or pretending removes authenticity, and while it might seem easier in the moment, it never creates lasting impact. True expressiveness, even if it means saying slower, softer, or "I love this," is what builds memory. It's the honesty of those small, real moments that makes someone unforgettable because it shows trust and vulnerability. The beauty of communication in intimacy is that it doesn't break the mood. It creates it. Too often, people fear that talking will ruin the passion, but the opposite is true. It's not about having a clinical discussion. It's about weaving words, whispers, and cues into the experience so it flows naturally. When a woman knows how to do that, she sets herself apart because she makes the encounter effortless and connected. At the end of the day, being unforgettable isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being present, and being open. Expressiveness and communication turn sex from a silent performance into a shared experience full of energy, laughter, intensity, and emotion. A woman who embraces this quality doesn't just leave behind the memory of her body, she leaves behind the memory of how alive she made the other person feel. And that is what no one ever forgets. Variety and adventure are qualities that transform intimacy from something ordinary into something unforgettable. When everything always follows the same pattern, when it becomes predictable, routine begins to take over, and nothing drains passion faster than routine. What makes a woman unforgettable in bed is her ability to keep things alive with a sense of freshness, to mix comfort with excitement, and to introduce just enough unpredictability that the experience always feels new. It's not about being extreme or doing something outrageous every time, but about bringing little sparks of variety that prevent the connection from becoming stale. Variety can be as simple as changing the pace, exploring different ways of touching, or shifting the energy between playful and intense. Those small changes have a big effect because they break repetition. They remind both people that intimacy isn't a formula, it's an exploration. A woman who understands this naturally stands out because she makes every moment feel unique. Instead of being remembered for a single act, she's remembered for the way she kept things dynamic, the way she created an experience that was never flat or predictable. Adventure doesn't have to mean skydiving, level daring. It means being willing to try, to explore, and to step outside of comfort zones together. It could be surprising him with a sudden kiss when he least expects it, initiating intimacy in a new setting, or suggesting something new with confidence and excitement. That kind of energy creates anticipation, and anticipation is one of the most powerful elements of desire. When a man doesn't know what to expect, when he feels like anything could happen, he's not just physically present, he's mentally and emotionally engaged. That engagement makes the experience unforgettable. There's also something magnetic about a woman who is adventurous enough to invite him into her imagination. When she's open to exploring, it gives him permission to do the same. Suddenly, intimacy becomes less about following a script and more about creating a story together. Those shared adventures build memories that go far beyond the moment. Even years later, what lingers isn't just the physical detail, but the thrill of discovery, the feeling of having experienced something exciting together. Variety and adventure also prevent intimacy from becoming transactional. Too often, People fall into a rhythm where they know exactly how things will start, how they'll continue, and how they'll end. While it may be comfortable, it doesn't leave a mark. What leaves a mark is when something unexpected happens, when the pattern breaks, when the energy shifts in a way that makes the whole experience feel alive. A woman who embraces variety ensures that the memory of being with her isn't just about pleasure. It's about excitement, surprise, and the joy of the unknown. At the same time, adventure doesn't mean recklessness. What makes it powerful is that it's balanced with connection. She knows when to be daring and when to be tender, when to tease and when to comfort. That balance is what makes her unforgettable, because she's not stuck in one mode. She creates contrast, and contrast is what heightens desire. Just as music is not just one steady beat, intimacy becomes memorable when it moves, shifts, and surprises. In the end, variety and adventure are not about trying to impress, they're about staying curious, staying open, and keeping the flame alive. A woman who brings this quality becomes unforgettable because she never lets the moment turn into a routine. She turns intimacy into an exploration, one that feels fresh each time, one that keeps him guessing, one that makes the memory burn brighter because it wasn't predictable. It was alive. And that feeling of aliveness is what no one forgets. What ultimately makes a woman unforgettable in bed is not just what she does, but how she allows herself to be. Feminine energy and the ability to surrender are qualities that take intimacy from the physical into something almost spiritual. There is something profoundly magnetic about a woman who doesn't feel the need to control every detail, who doesn't get lost in her head worrying about how she looks or if everything is happening the right way, but instead chooses to let go and fully experience the moment. That surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It's the kind of strength that comes from trust, from embracing her own sensuality, and from allowing herself to be vulnerable enough to enjoy every second without holding back. When a woman steps into her feminine energy, she brings softness, receptivity, and flow. It's not about being passive, it's about being open. It's about being willing to feel, to express, and to allow herself to be fully present in the moment. That openness has a profound effect on a man because it invites him to step deeper into his own masculine energy. Suddenly, intimacy isn't just two people moving together. It becomes a dance of energies, a balance of giving and receiving, of leading and following. And that balance creates an intensity that lingers. Surrender also means letting go of performance. Too often, people approach intimacy as though they're being graded, as though they need to impress or meet an invisible standard. That pressure kills passion because it forces you out of the moment. But a woman who can surrender isn't performing. She's living. She's feeling, responding, and allowing her natural sensuality to guide her. That raw authenticity is what makes her unforgettable, because it shows the other person that this isn't an act, it's real. Feminine energy also expresses itself in how she embraces pleasure. Instead of holding back, instead of trying to stay composed or controlled, she allows herself to show how much she's enjoying the moment. The sounds, the movements, the expressions, they all become an invitation. They say, "I'm here, I'm open, and I'm fully alive with you." That vulnerability makes her unforgettable because it creates a level of intimacy that goes beyond the physical. It makes him feel not just like he was part of something pleasurable, but like he was part of something meaningful. There's also an element of trust in surrender. Trust doesn't mean blind faith. It means giving herself permission to relax into the experience, to trust her own body, to trust her partner, and to trust the connection between them. That trust is powerful because it turns intimacy into something more than just touch. It creates a sense of safety and depth that allows both people to go further, to feel more, and to connect in ways that are not possible when control is always in the way. A woman who embodies feminine energy also brings a kind of natural magnetism. It's in the way she moves, the way she breathes, the way she responds with fluidity instead of stiffness. There's a softness to her presence, even in the most passionate moments, that makes everything feel more intense. She doesn't need to force attraction. She radiates it simply by being fully in touch with her own essence. That radiance is what leaves a mark because it's rare and because it makes the experience feel alive with something more than just physical desire. In the end, being unforgettable in bed isn't about control, and it isn't about perfection. It's about presence, energy, and the willingness to surrender to the moment. A woman who allows herself to embrace her feminine essence, who lets go of the need to perform, and who trusts enough to be fully open, creates an experience that is impossible to forget. Because what stays with someone long after the details fade is the feeling of being with someone who was truly there, fully alive, and unapologetically herself.